Yes, welcome to, since it's still early, you can still say the second Tuesday of the year. I doubt you will be saying the 52nd December. But yes, welcome to the second Tuesday of the year. And as it is with every year, whenever it starts, people are always talking about New Year resolutions. They're talking about visions. They're talking about vision boards as well. But I am sure, I can almost bet that between the 1st and today being the 7th, there are some that you had said that I'm going to do, things that you had set out to do. I'm not going to eat any more junk. Jana too, kakula chips. You had said, for example, what were dry January. Mulikuwa mesema no alcohol in January. Maybe over the weekend ulianguka, and many other things. You say maybe you're going to stop lying, you're going to be a better person, you're going to be have more integrity, you're going to, in the words of the president, wacha ushenzi. All these things could be part of your 2019 visions or resolutions. But are you fulfilling them? How do you create pliable, viable resolutions, and how do you get in line with the vision? To help us in that conversation, it is Tuesday, so it is engaged as always. It's Welly Odendo. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And CJ Atemo.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you doing?
Very well.
Very good. Karibu sana.
Yes.
And so today, remember the hashtag to use is Daybreak. If you have any questions, we posted that question already, asking if you have any challenges with your visions and resolutions. And also, are they really worth it? Or can you just wamuka tu useme what they call a cold reboot, or to bring it home, restore factory settings. Useme tu nimewacha na tunaendelea. Is it possible to do that? Maybe you even wanted to stop an addiction. So is it possible to do that? First of all, I guess I'll start by, there's so much talk about having a vision board. And I know there is write the vision, make it clear. If you see it, you can believe it. If you believe it, you can achieve it. Let's start with, is it worth it having a resolution?
Well, you want to go?
You go first.
I think you got to live life intentionally. So it's important to have that, because you cannot live your life just to chance. You can't just wake up in the morning and say whatever will happen today will happen. It's luck, it's fate, and something. God gave us brains, and your brain is part of God's creative system. You can shape, you can determine, you can form what you want to have. Vision is just having an image of possibilities. In the simplest terms, is an image of possibilities. And so it's important for you to see where you want to go, who you want to become, what you want to do, and then document it. There's a way that documentation sometimes brings a level of commitment. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on as we go on. So I think that the importance of the resolutions and the vision board and the vision is that you become intentional about your life, about where you want to go, so that you're not just haphazard in the things that you do. Yeah.
So, Welly, what happens if somebody, because I think the reason why some people say that it's not a must to make some of these things is, what happened in last year in your vision board, you had some things and it didn't work. What now makes you say, okay, let me try again this year?
I think it's mental stamina, because writing it down is the starting point, but it's just like a journey. If you intend to be at a place at a particular time, then the start matters. If I want to be in Kisumu at 4 p.m. today, it means what time and what means I'm going to take will determine whether I'll hit it to be there by 4 o'clock. And all that goes into mental stamina. The ability to remain intentional, as my brother here has said, in the midst of all the contradictions and what I would call the diversions that you meet on the way. So mental stamina is everything. The mental stamina, and as you get into week 23, 24, you're going to have less motivation, and that's why you need stamina, because it's your ability to keep going.
Even week 2. Depending on what it is. You might have a little bit of...
you need to...
You need to, like, for example, let me use a personal example.
Bring it home.
Yes, let's bring it home. I said that this year nikianza January 1st. Nikasema, you know what? I want to, I've tried this fitness thing before, The only thing I haven't really focused on well is that my friend Timo hapa huwa ananiambia like huwezi kuwa unakula hapa Chevalier sana alafu so I said wacha ni focus on diet. Let me say I've started my new year yesterday. I started again. I said, okay, so the fitness year for me began yesterday because I tried day 1, day 2, day 3 pallet bado ilikuwa na tamani sweet potato fries. So what like for somebody, let's say like me and many other people who with different things, especially those who had maybe addictions, and you know they're saying, you know, I'm not going to do this. This is a new year. Second, third, they're back at it, and so then they lose hope, and the year and they answer to.
I think sometimes, you know, the mental stamina that Wally talks about, you know, has to be formed at the beginning. In fact, it begins with how you even came about to decide what you want to do. Because sometimes people are just out of excitement. Somebody says, I'm going to stop this. They've not really thought out the process. They've not counted the cost of what they want to do. So, you know, somebody's drunk somewhere then say, when the new year comes, I'll stop. That's not a resolution. This is just somebody who thinks because there's a new year, I need to say something and I'm going to try something. They have not thought through what they want to do. And they have not had a compelling vision of where they want to go to. Because that's what makes somebody stay on it. And even when you fail or faint, again, when you're trying to become better or trying to do something, you can't give up at the first hurdle. You know, you can always pick it up. When a child is walking, when they learn how to walk, they may do 1 step or 2, then they fall. But that does not mean this child will never walk. So you also have got to have some grace on you. Some things may not have worked in 2018, but why don't you try them again in 2019? So if last year probably I could stay off junk food for 10 days, then I'm going to push myself this year, then let me see what I can do 30 days. It's a process. Vision is also very progressive. You know, it can't just be what I wanted for 2018 died with 31st, so I'm going to have something new. No, you've got to keep on going step by step and have grace on yourself. Build on the things that you have done well. So if I was able to stay away from it for 3 days, maybe if I try, then I'm going to stay on it 7 days. And then you keep on building. After a while, you'll realize you're gaining the mental stamina that you talked about.
So when you're talking about, you've talked about the process. So what is, like when I'm looking at something, so clearly you said we can't follow the crowd and just say New Year. I saw so many tweets from 31st. People already guessing. I saw some saying, let me guess, in 2019, it's all about you and you're cutting people off. You know, like the normal, what looks like cliches. Yes, they're very important things to do. You might need to actually cut some people off. You see, so when you're thinking about the process, before you now say, this is what are the things you're thinking about when you're now formulating it?
I think first of all, even before we get to the change, what we're calling a new change, we have to see the mechanics of how people arrive at change. The first stage of change is resistance. When you say you want to get to a new place, it means you have started resisting the old. And the mind, being first of all a lazy organ, formulates itself around assistance, but it grows in resistance. So it easily will formulate. For you, it may be your sweet potato fries. For somebody else, maybe his beer. For somebody else, because every time it gets into a level of either distress or a way it wants to regenerate itself, the mind will always look for what complements, what does not challenge me. And so to get to the new, it starts with resistance. The assistance will find you midway. And that's why many people who are visionary, vision is your ability to stay on that resistant grain until you hit that assistance where now people come and join you, your parents come and join you, people begin to reward you, your mind is no longer as dependent, or whenever it feels hungry, it sees a cucumber much attractive, that will never be me, than power to the people. So, but that's the first stage, and that's why many people become low achievers, because whenever we hit resistance, we call it the limit. We say, I'm at my limit. But that's your start. That's where you have to start. Everything begins to change at how much resistance you're able to bear. And if you stay on that path, midway, your muscle will grow. It's just like at the gym. You grow when the weight is pushing on you. When it's coming down, that's when the muscle bulges and it grows. And so you have got to put your mind, if 2019 is going to be much better for you, you have to start asking yourself, what are the things that are of old that kept me in the cycle? And if I want to break out of this cycle, I have to now start resisting these things. Now, it will not be automatic. The mind will kick, the mind will squeal, the mind will cry, the mind will do all this. But you have to congratulate yourself. You did 4 well, you missed 1. You don't need to be hard on yourself when you fail. But you always must hold the big picture that, hey, I made a commitment that I am going to do 1, 2, 3 things. So the mechanics of the mind is there, that it begins to grow under resistance and then it finds assistance midway. Most of us, we wait for assistance, so we say, hey guys, are we going to start a no-drink challenge in January? Yeah, we are starting. How many of us? 10. He drops out 13th, he drops out in 12th, he drops out on the 7th. So once you hit the 21st day, you feel like you have succeeded because the circle of people that you had put around you on that challenge, some quit on day 2, day 4, day 6, day 7. So you already feel like a conqueror on day 22. But you had set yourself at a bigger and at a higher threshold. So I would challenge you to start there. The mechanics of the mind. Check your habit and then work on that mechanic. Ask yourself, what is my mind resisting? Probably that's the thing that it will help it grow the most.
But also, isn't it important also to have, not really, you know how pastors say, today I came with my own amen. Isn't it important to have your own
inner drive?
Inner drive as well.
Yeah. It's important. And that's why, you know, we go back to how we make these decisions. Because if we're just hanging out over here, then we decide today, okay, guys, let's do this. We may agree because of the hype that we have. But then when we get into our personal spaces, we may not have that conviction. And I think as much as it is important also to make resolutions and decisions around January, I think that we challenge ourselves in times when there is really nothing to challenge us. And I'll explain. Most people have not hit work when it comes to January. There's a lot of time. They're still trying to find their way around. So this thing that they want to challenge themselves with sometimes comes in because there's still some free time. So it's not really a commitment. You're making decisions in December when you're lazy, and then January you've not really picked up work and something. So you haven't really figured out what this thing is going to cost you. And then you're making a decision at what I would call a low moment in terms of busyness. Some of those things are better made when you're actually in the heat of work and everything else. Then you know, this is something I really need to do. It is not a pastime. It is something that I need to do. It is important, just as important as everything else that I am doing. So in the midst of my business, I need to go to class or I need to go to the gym. I'm not going to the gym because work has not picked up. Because the moment work picks up, the gym will die. You know, that's what you will sacrifice. So there's got to be that inner drive that makes you go past every challenge that comes. I like to say you must have a compelling vision. Something that is so strong pulling you. Not just what you want to walk away from. There must be something you want to walk into. Towards. Because if I just say, let me stop drinking, let me stop eating junk, let me stop doing this, but there's nothing really pulling me towards where I want to go, it's very easy to come back into this space. And that compelling vision is what gives you then the inner drive.
So how then do we, you know, form, somebody's probably saying, okay, good. How then do I start? Because now maybe you've already hit the reset button on them by what you said. And I'm thinking, okay, ile ilikuwa hype. Okay, ile ilikuwa. So now, how do we move forward? Even as I take some tweets here that have come in. There's one says, because of having failing resolutions, would a vision board stand? That is Naomi Ngosi. And then reasons why New Year resolution fail. 1, not written down. 2, broad goals. 3, no rewards. 4, unrealistic goals. And 5, quitting too soon. That is at Isaac Muthusi. Right. So somebody asked the question there that I was going to say, because maybe you've already hit the reset button. So people have been hyped about vision boards. So they'll go and say, okay, this year, maybe I want to, you know, write a book. So they put their picture of people who've written books like yourselves. put the books there. Maybe they say, on to my fitness goal is this, so they look at whatever it is they look up to fitness-wise, they put it there. Car, they put it there. Amount of money they want to make, they write it down there. So how do you formulate a sustainable vision? And somebody they're talking about, I've had a past failure, so then why do I have a vision board? Yeah.
I'll just go back to the mechanics. Success does not begin on the outside, it begins on the inside. Most people don't pursue what they intended to pursue because of unresolved inner conflict. They are in conflict with themselves. They're in some people want things because they saw somebody with that thing. It's not that really they wanted it. It's that, as my colleague is saying, you were seated somewhere and everybody was talking about next year, and you had for you to fit into the table of men, you had to come up. Even me next year, but you were okay. You were okay, and so there is that unresolved inner conflict, and unless that your soul is detached from the clingers of the soul, that is, there is a reason why you quit easily. That's a mechanic. It's a system you have. There is a pain you try to avoid. There's a reason why you quit easily. And why is that? And you have to go back. And that's why I would urge anybody there that before you start writing visions out there, you need to sit down with a coach or somebody who can help you declutter your soul. What you see in the first world, you know, many people come to see us when now they in the midst of that clutter and in a conflict, they got married, they got children, they got loans, they got this. So by the time they're coming, they are a heap. Yeah. But you'll hear that when people in the first world, they're planning their holiday, they say, well, they call us shrimps, whatever you call us, turkey cocks, or whatever you call us. You go sit with him and say, hey, by the way, I'll just want to sit with you and just have a brief with me on my ear. This is how I've made decisions about money, decisions about my children, decisions about my marriage, decisions. And just to help you, first of all, declutter the system that you use to make decisions. Because if it still has got unresolved conflicts, you still have unresolved further issues, you're going to go back. This is why you found yourself in that place. Now, a new day will not make new changes. There has to be a new process. And that process begins by decluttering. And to declutter your soul, before you even come up with vision and mission, you need to heal. You cannot carry more weight when your shoulder is still aching, inflamed. You have to take some time. And the healing process starts by you sitting down and taking somebody through a process. You'd rather take 6 weeks and say, hey, I'm going to give you my time for the next 6 weeks. I'll create 2 days a week. And I want you to do an internal audit of my soul. I am a fearful person. Why is it that you're a fearful person? You cannot just walk into the world and say, well, me, I'm fearful. It's a quality. It's your soul telling you something. There is something that is clinging on you that every time you're put in a new environment, fear becomes the relapse button, that when you get afraid, you relapse. So I think it has got to start there, the decluttering of the soul, and that decluttering so that you can be able to undergo now the process of visioneering. But as long as you're just having big ideas, I want, you're never going to achieve as much, because at the first level of contradiction or opposition or just difficulty, or as Pastor Chris is putting it, when work kicks in, it's going to hit you. Well, I was only doing that because I was free. I don't have the time. I don't have the time.
I don't have the time anymore. So in the vision, you must factor in all these things, including time. So then what am I writing down? Because maybe I feel like sometimes people get disappointed because and it is okay to dream. I'm a big believer in dreams, but sometimes, like you're saying, it's just hype. Niliona Willis akona gari kubwa bas. Vision 2019. Lazima hata mimi nipate gari kubwa. And do you believe in vision boards?
I do, but you know, it's got to go beyond the board. It's got to go beyond the board. Because I believe that, I said that you must have a compelling vision. Then I do believe that it's got to be very clear. Any vision you cannot interpret, you cannot implement. It's got to be very clear. Then you have to have a sense of commitment to it. And you will only know commitment at the place where he was talking about the resistance. Because commitment is nothing without sacrifice. I'll have to say that every time. You only know your commitment when you don't feel like doing that thing. if you don't have the commitment to what you have put down, no matter how beautiful it is, no matter how good it is, no matter how much you're psyching yourself up, you'll never get there. And the only way to commit to it is to keep doing the thing that you have said you want to do, even when you don't feel like. That's where now accountability comes in. Because sometimes the people who can't really keep themselves on a discipline, so you need somebody else. So I need to say, you know, Coach Welly, you know, this is what I'm trying to do, so keep me in check. I think that a lot of us fail in vision because we don't like to be accountable to anybody. We think that that is making ourselves less. You know, having a coach, having an accountability partner does not mean you're weak. It means you're committed to the things that you want to do. When you go to the gym, you don't just get in there and then you decide this is the weight I'm going to be lifting. You need an instructor there. There's a reason there's somebody there. I remember one time, a few years ago, so I was beginning to have some issues. I would feel pain, you know, just walking a bit and then sitting in the car. So I said, I need to shed off a bit. And you know, you don't have to be too big for you to shed off weight. You just need to feel unfit. So I go to the gym and my idea is I need muscle. And then the gym instructor, first day, he looks at me, then he says, you know, you need to go to the aerobics class. And I'm thinking, what? I didn't come here for aerobics. I came in here for the gym. So I stood there, and the guy's looking at me. He says, why don't you try that first? And I was getting upset, you know, then eventually I'm getting it. In my mind, I thought aerobics is for ladies, and then what am I doing in there trying to dance? So I got in. I was among the very first people who came in, so I still have an attitude. I'm having this mental resistance. Then slowly, so I saw some guys come in, so I kept on pushing back, and I'm thinking, so what am I doing in here? The second day I come in, he says, have you tried over there? So I'm telling him, look, I want to have some muscle. And he's telling me, have you gone into the aerobics class? But later on, I understood. He knew that I could not go directly to the weights until my muscles are in tune. So there's a reason why he's in the gym. And sometimes somebody will tell you to do something that you think is stupid. It doesn't even look like it's related to what you want to do. But the person knows that you must first of all come in tune. And I think that is one of the things, again, when it comes to vision, that we need to understand. You may not go directly into the gym of your vision. You need to first of all get in tune mentally, emotionally, get your whole system in tune so that you can actually commit to a vision. And that is where now you may need somebody who's just telling you, you know, small things that you need to do, but they're preparing you for bigger commitments.
So you need to have an accountability partner. See, hype men.
No.
Not hype men, because there are a lot of people who also get, and I see this a lot here, you know, ukotuna hype men or yes men. So you need to be careful and worried about that. So how do you, because you said you need to be committed to it, how do you then, you know, crystallize? Somebody said there that the visions are too broad. I think it was Isaac Muthusi, that the visions are too broad. So how do I crystallize and narrow it down? And because somebody said, I can't remember who it was, but I've read somewhere that you need to summarize your vision in a sentence. I don't know if that's true. You know, people say a lot.
Let me put up something there that, and I'll take it back, that what many people call a vision is actually things. Cars, houses. That's not a vision, those are things. Because those things, I can get a streak of luck. I can scratch a card and it happens that that's the winning lottery number. Then I'll go buy the car, the house, and all of this and all this. A vision is a change process. And that change process, it starts by, it changes first how you see. And how you see affects how you live. And then how you live affects how you achieve. What many of us will set out as visions are, some of them are things that can be achieved within the first month should you strike gold. Should you strike gold right now, maybe for you, you discover actually, you've actually always been Bill Gates' lost son. Your dad has been keeping it from you.
No way, I love my father. You must be watching. Your daddy, what it is. And my mother.
So we get lost in acquisition, calling them vision. But those are not visions. Those are sometimes rewards of achieving. You are somewhere in the change process. Because a vision is not something that runs for 365 days. It's something that runs transgenerationally.
Right.
So if it is just at my vision for 2019, that's not a vision. Those are the things you'd like to add, acquire, realize in a bigger spectrum of your life. And so, and for you, you have to ask yourself, how do I see so that I have something that even if I drop dead right now in the midst, and I won't, but should I drop dead here, there are still people who are in that process, because it is something that, first of all, it brings about, it is not just about you, it brings about the people around you. Because once you change how you see, you have now to bring the people who are in your inner circle, or find people who are seeing the way you see, so that you don't have that inner conflict. But without that, what you're going to have are acquisition goals, which you don't need a vision to have. I can just be born into a privileged family and have them. I can strike gold and have achieved those things. So it has to start by, how do I see? The biggest question for people who want to achieve more in 2018 is, what should be my perception for 2019? Because that perception is what will birth vision. But if you have vision without a complementing perception, your eyes will open for just 2 weeks. I want to go to the gym, I want to do this and do this and do this, and then it will close back, and then immediately that is back, you reset and you relapse to what you used to be. So it starts there. It starts there. And so we get to the second part. A vision now, when it comes from not just a perception, the perception is now how you're going to organize the key players and the key tools into your life. And that's what vision is all about. Organizing key players and the key tools into your life so that it can run, everybody becomes functional. If you're drinking, it is performing a function. If you're married, it is functional, so that you don't have so much clutter in your life. And most of this clutter, they're occupying space, they are consuming but not producing. Mm-hmm. So you put that organizational mechanism in your place so that now you can be able to live a more fulfilled life. Mm-hmm. So it starts at perception, it gets to organization. Mm-hmm. But if it starts at just acquisition, because what many of us will have this year are acquisition goals: change my car, change my body, change my hair, change my house, change my kids' schools. Those are acquisitions. You can get those things without a vision. A vision is a change process. It takes you through a journey of development and growth, and as it sharpens your perception, it changes how you organize people and things around your life. I would say that.
So we have some 3 more tweets we can get as well. 4 tweets actually. Grace Kamau 7 says, "Can my mission for 2019 be just to be happy?" Joseph Idumbi says, "I don't believe in having resolutions or visions after every year, but every day." Kami Nyaga says, "How do you synchronize your goals whereas the ones you had in the past year are still not met?" Then the last one is Dengosi says, "Lest you commit to your broad dreams, they're as good as a written poem." So they're different there. Somebody asked about what I asked about, like, how do I synchronize? Because maybe where we left in 2018, I had not yet achieved it, but I was almost getting there. And now here we are in 2019. I want to synchronize what didn't come through and where I want to go.
There's something that Welly has talked about, the transgenerational thing, because I believe that a vision outlives you. You cannot compartmentalize your life into blocks of 365 days and feel like at the end of 2018, everything about my life stopped there, so I'm starting afresh. There's a continuum. Even though the dates are changing, there's a continuum in this life. So you can always pick up. I want to look at it like a school curriculum. If I was in class and there's certain exams or certain subjects that I didn't do well last year, I may resit them. Because I am part of a longer process. It is very structured, that I need to spend 7 years to become a doctor. I need to spend 5 years studying law, then go into the school of law, to be admitted as an advocate. It's a part of a long process. So you cannot say, first year is done, there are certain units I failed, that's done, because this is part of the entire assessment that you will have. So build on your strengths and then begin to work on the things that did not work, because they are part of this broader thing that you're trying to become. Don't just shut down and say, you know, last year this did not work, so I'm not going to work it out. No, there are things that you can carry over. It's you know, the balance sheet, you know, there's things that are brought forward.
Balance carried forward.
Yeah, and that's generally how your life is.
Yeah.
You got to carry over certain things and know that I'm going to work on this from last year. So that again gives you the opportunity to not take up too much for the new year, because you know you're building from somewhere. So if there's certain 3 things that you still needed to work on, then you say, okay, I need to still work on these ones, then maybe I will take up 2 new things. That is more realistic than trying to put away everything. Say, I've got these 10 things that I need to do, and then you fail in 7. So the next year you create another 10. So what that does, it weakens your resolve, because you always feel like I keep on setting goals and I fail. So pick up what you did not do well and work on it again. Always just keep at it until you get to the place where you want to be.
We have some 2 SMSs as well. Let's take a look at them. Bernard Maraga says, even after I've gone to rehab, I'm unable to control my drinking. That's Bernard Maraga. Anonymous says, I'm 55 years old. Is it too late? I guess to start over. So maybe let's start with the one who says, and that's I think what I wanted to address even as we wind up. For those who failed or feel like they have failed, like the gentleman there who said, you know, I've been to rehab. So he's attempted to make a change. Going to rehab is not an easy thing. You know, there's so much that goes around it. So if he's gone to rehab, but still he can't quit. What does he do?
Well, I would say, you know, don't give up. Keep seeking help. Don't give up. Again, I'll go back into the thing like, if I'm going to fail an exam or I fail something that I tried to do I give up at that point? Because what he will begin telling himself is it is impossible to change. And that is the lie that he should not believe. Sometimes when you've attempted some things over and over, even relationships, some people will say, you know, I've tried dating, I've done this 4 times and then it's not worked, maybe it's not meant for me. That's a lie. You must always believe that the change is possible, regardless of what you have achieved or not achieved. You must keep believing that it is possible. And that will keep you on course to say, let me try again. At least you went to the rehab. At least you made the first step. So that means you can actually bring yourself to the place where you change yourself. So the first step, I would take the victory for him to be having gone to the rehab. He may have relapsed, but I've got to commend him for having gone to the rehab. There was a decision that was made and a commitment to it. So that's what I would call good. You know, when God was creating, the first day he only saw the light and something, then he said, it's good. The earth was not complete. But day 1, he said, it's good. Then day 2, some other steps, then he said, it's good. So you must also celebrate the process, not just the product. Celebrate the process. At least you made it there. There are people who never even get the courage to go into the rehab. So I think it is still possible. You know, keep seeking help. Yeah.
For his case, and also for the one who said that
he's 55.
He's 55, yeah.
One of the things I think I'll tell people struggling with addictions, that addictions are manifestations of gaps. The substance is trying to play the substitute of a gap. And the reason why men struggle is because I think there are 5 major gaps that lead people into addictions. Father gaps, faith gaps, field gaps, whereby you don't feel like you play any role, so you're just occupying space, friend gaps. And these gaps, as they're picking up, is that you'll discover that they create a void, a need, that the substance, if you have a father gap, maybe you didn't spend, or no man walks into your life as an authority to shape you, define you, speak into you, you're going to try to substitute that gap. If you don't have a field gap, a purpose, you don't find like you play and your purpose matters and you play a bigger role and you matter, you're going to find a way to fill that gap. If you don't have friends, maybe you're these people got a job, you've been busy, you're buried in work, and you've always been saying, I'm absent. You're absent in everything. The only picture of you we have is the picture you graduated. We've never seen you again. That friend gap, you're going to now privately to comfort and consolidate, and maybe it's going to play a role. That's a relationship gap. And all these gaps, and I'll tell the person who is struggling with addiction that your first help, the rehab will help you deal with the substance, but you need somebody to now come help you deal with the gaps, so that you can be able, the rehab was just to help you deal with the substance. It can take 3 months, but these gaps are what come to create the pillars and the structure for life. And so it starts there. Same as the case with the 55-year-old, there is nobody, what we call failure is comparison. There is never failure, there are only attempts. What we call failure is comparison. Maybe we wanted to jump the same bar, but I jumped, you didn't jump. But if there was no bar and I jumped, or you tried by yourself and you didn't get it, it is always easier when you want to do something without the pressure of looking at another 55-year-old. The best way to start is to start where people my age are here, people my age are married, people my age have children, people my age. I saw a senior citizen of this country get married probably at 89, 90, and has a 6-year-old son, something like that. So at 55, the most important quality is that life begins at the point of decision. It doesn't begin with age. There are 55-year-olds who made a decision and their lives changed there. And so I would urge him that take yourself and ask yourself, what is this gap that has made me to stay for long without living and making a fulfilled life? And these gaps, they're present in everybody. Everyone now tries to find. Some people think that our faith is overrated, faith is for the lazy. But that faith gap, it's the gap that makes you be able to marry between the things that are and the things you want to achieve, because the journey of going into vision, you're going to work with immaterial substances like hope and drive. And so faith makes you be able to even overcome your inner inadequacies. So it is important for you to put yourself through that process and ask yourself, what is the gap? And so as those of us who, if you go to the trucks in the rail in the UK, they always say, mind the gap. Sometimes when the rail is passing here, you need to mind the gap. And if you mind the gap and you fill those gaps, you're going to find yourself more empowered to do 2019 greater than 2018. There are no failures, only perceptions.
All right, I'll take the last tweet here, just because this is Kiki, Tuku Kiki. Tuku Kiki says, just because it's a new year, don't throw away your goals that you still did not yet accomplish. Keep working on them until you get to where you want to be. And I think that's a good place to end. But like we always say, this hour, this 45 minutes is not sufficient enough for you to get all the answers. So after this, you can of course always reach out to CJ Atemo at CJ Atemo at Willie Odendo, and then, you know, we'll go ahead and post it. You can follow me at Willis Raburu. We'll post the pictures there. You can follow them on their handles and reach out to them even after the show. If you have some questions, maybe you didn't feel bold enough to share them online or through our SMS platform, you can always reach out to them a little bit after the show. And invoice. Anyway, I'm kidding. You can reach out to them at any time, and they're also very well established authors. So when you reach out to them, also ask for the books. But we always say asante sana for coming through. Of course, next week, if you have any topics that you want us to cover, by the way, we open it up. You can reach me #Daybreak at Willis Raburu. You can also talk to them, because you know we talk. So you can always say, have you considered tackling this topic? Maybe this is the problem, and then they'll always be able to tackle it for you, even as you engage from next week. So tumesema asante sana, and like has been said here, you know, don't, if you failed already in your resolution, if 2018 was a bad year, if you don't believe in resolutions at all, take that first step and move towards it. As Joel Austin says, you might say, what if I fail? No, what if you succeed? Yeah, so don't always look at the negative, always look at the positive. And my mantra this year is God loves you, and that will never change, and successful people look like you. And of course, Manchester United. So have yourself a wonderful time. Sam Tuku is up next, and he is going to take us through what's going on politically and otherwise, and then also Sema na Citizen is on, so don't go too far. Hapa Citizen ndo place ya kukaa, usicheze mbali, cheza karibu na ucheze kiwewe.